Hello and welcome to Microsoft Digital Now. I'm Andrew Wilson, Microsoft's Chief Digital Officer. Today, technology is at the heart of every business. Its mission criticality, its speed is something we're all having to deal with. On this series of conversations, I'm looking forward to speaking with friends, industry leaders, both within Microsoft and across the industry, about how they're tackling digital and wider business transformation. So let's get to it. Hello. With the world's mission-critical services in the cloud, securing that cloud has never been higher up our collective to-do list. Joining me today to reflect on that is Charlie from Microsoft. Charlie, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Andrew. Great to be here.
Thank you for joining us. Charlie, you're a man who's associated with the cloud, but could you start by describing your role at Microsoft today?
I lead the security engineering organization. It's comprised of a few groups. We have Brett Arsenault, our CISO, who worries a lot about Microsoft security. I have Sean Bice, who worries about cloud security, and Rob Lefferts, who handles our SOC, our modern SOC products, and Neil, who's our leader in compliance, and Michael Wallant, who handles management, and then Joy Chick, who does identity and access. It's a great group.
A great team, and what I've had the pleasure with working with us, we've secured Microsoft together with Brett these last few years. With the cloud, does the cloud make securing services easier or harder?
Well, there's kind of two parts of that. The cloud gives you tremendous flexibility. You can do all kinds of things, and it's allowed people to innovate very quickly. But with flexibility comes ways that bad actors can innovate and do things they shouldn't be doing. So in net balance, the cloud brings a lot of security to the table because you can automate everything. And the way I like to phrase it, it's digital civilization. Because you're moving to a place where you can be protected, where everything can be watched, and everything can be set up in the right way. Cloud is ultimately a more secure place, but it requires a lot of work to make sure that the flexibility doesn't turn into some tool for a bad actor.
Now, a lot of that work sits with your own engineering organization, as you say, but I know you spend a lot of time with customers. And as you listen to them and as they seek your coaching, what coaching do you give a customer, and where do you think the emphasis is between what the hyperscaler is doing and what the customer needs to be doing?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Customers, first of all, they're in a journey. Like one of the things I think early on in the days of the cloud, we saw, oh, this is wonderful, and people are going to flock to it because it's innovating so quickly. And then reality strikes. Customers have a broad infrastructure. It's got a lot of history behind it. And the move takes a while. And so first of all, their biggest problem is that they're in this hybrid world. They're straddling the cloud and they're straddling on-premise. And they have to manage it all end to end. And that maybe gets to the most important thing for customers is they're dealing with a broad problem, an evolving threat. Attackers are constantly innovating, coming up with new ways of doing things. And today, they have a lot of fragmented stuff out there to protect themselves. And so what they're really looking for, and what I hear over and over, is they're turning to Microsoft to get end-to-end protection. They want an end-to-end solution. They want to be able to go from their end users. We know that attackers often target humans. That's the good place to start. It's the easy place to start. We're easily fooled, unfortunately. And they work their way not laterally into infrastructure. And so, you got to protect it all. It's the end-to-end story. And it's something that's really been the story for Microsoft, I think, in the whole security business that's built up over the years.
A conversation that Brett and I have often had is that cloud gives us the ability to move quickly and more quickly than ever before. And a lot of the time it's about the speed of response. As you describe that journey with customers, do you see any particular success characteristics which you would identify and say, yes, go for that behavior? And any pitfalls that you'd encourage them to avoid?
Yeah, I think, what I hear over and over is they go through sort of a cycle of, we'll call it almost irrational exuberance. They come into the cloud and they turn their teams loose and say, have at it, go innovate. And I think that the sort of the sobering moment, they realize that, hey, there's a lot of this that that I need to control and I need to manage. And so they go through this cycle of, okay, now I'm going to get planful about it. Now I'm going to understand, my landing zones. How am I going to set up my infrastructure? How am I going to make sure that my development teams, they basically start from a secure footing? Because, we all know that you have to shift left and get into the development cycle. So they begin to deploy those. I think identity and access is a super critical part of this whole thing. I think as we've watched how attackers evolved, Brett has a great saying, I love it. The only people who love passwords are criminals. And so we've moved off of that, and now we use MFA, multi-factor authentication. But attackers are clever, and they have figured out how to work the humans and get a hold of credentials, maybe MFA bombing. They hit you in the middle of the night and get you to respond to something. And so really the journey involves conditional access, being able to zero trust, being able to safe the services that we have, and being able to use conditional access, being able to look at many things to dynamically determine whether access will be granted. And we see customers on this journey. And so, as they move their humans to Microsoft's cloud productivity solutions, they're better protected. We can do all kinds of things with insider risk management and data loss prevention. The visibility that we have is tremendous. And so we see customers moving in that direction. And I think over time they're getting there. But there's a lot of respect you have to have with customers in empathy in where they are and the work that's required. We invest a lot in their migration tools, for example, and how to get them to go quickly. But yeah, it's a journey, and I really enjoy the enthusiasm when I talk to customers that they have for our products. I enjoy the problems. I mean, they keep giving us new things that we need to do. Attackers are continually innovating, and so we have to keep doing more and do it faster and do it for less.
For the less point is actually interesting, isn't it? Because how do we avoid spending our entire IT budget on security?
Yeah, well, some people would say, yeah, Microsoft, you'd love that. But actually, we're constantly thinking about, how do we... So, for example, if you think about the last few years, what machine learning and AI has done for security is tremendous. We get 43 trillion signals a day on all the things we look at. Well, of course, that requires a lot of resource to go process and do AI on it and figure out how to do inference and then take action. And so the only way that scales is if you can do it cheaper. And so there's a lot to be said for the work going on in reducing the cost per units on things and figuring out how to handle larger and larger data sets, and the ability to just be able to react very quickly and deploy things very quickly. And all of that is a really strong area of investment for my teams. We spend a lot of time thinking about it. And yes, customers always want to have, more for less. And Microsoft, because we've been able to do things end to end and be able to provide components that are working together across the board, customers are able to take in a suite of things and replace all the things that they were doing before with the Microsoft solutions and be able to eliminate a lot of the costs that they had before.
Managing a lot of the integrations and keeping it current and that best of breed approach. I presided over a number of IT estates. I think you're right that the stack gives you a more manageable solution that's more manageable and self-managing as well. So we always like to try and see a little bit under the hood for the future. So you talked about the scaling there and the huge telemetry that we get. What capabilities are you excited that we might see coming in the future?
I think, if we look forward, 5 years from now, we're going to change the asymmetry the attacker enjoys today. We're going to be in a spot where we can leverage the vast amounts of data that we have. The security graph is giant. It's basically everything out there. And, everything can be a weapon. You get into operational technology, factories, the things that we use to build things, operate transportation, all of these things become entry points. And so the graph is giant and the data is going to be endless that we're going to have to be able to process. Well, that's an advantage for us because we see it all and the attackers have to come at you one at a time. And so to the extent that we can deploy AI on this, we're going to be able to reverse that advantage. And AI is going to be the future of security. It's really going to enable us both to solve the visibility and the action problem on this giant graph. And then it's also going to give us the ability to help with the labor shortage that we have. Because as you know, there's a strong demand for security professionals and not enough supply. And it's becoming harder for customers to hire the people that they need to go secure themselves. And AI is going to be the answer to that as well, because we'll be able to turn this around and take people with less skills and have them operate an agent that now is embodying all the knowledge that we have and doing the things that we got to do.
Charlie, it's an exciting view of the future. We could listen to you all day. I'm afraid we're out of time. We always like to, though, say thank you to our guests on the show. And so we reflected on how we could do that with you, the man that secures the world for us. So we thought what we would do is give you a world. So one of my hobbies in lockdown has been Lego. This is a Lego globe. And on behalf of all of us on Microsoft Digital Now, a little memento of your time with us.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much, Andrew. This is awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Keep this nice and secure, won't you?
I will. Yes. It'll always remind me of our mission. This is great.
And we'll see you again soon. Thank you and bye-bye.